So I always use the analogy of the ship. So the captain of the ship, do you know where your boat is going?
Cruise to nowhere?
Business owners should be able to build companies which can support your personal life, aspirations and dreams. And you should never, ever sacrifice your personal well-being for the company.
Amen. Thank you. Preach it, sister.
Woohoo!
Preach it. Hi Felicia, glad to have you with us. Welcome to the show.
Hello guys,
Hi,
thank you for
Felicia.
having me.
Awesome. So we talked a little bit about this, Felicia, before we put this up, and you really engaged my imagination about having a creative team or a capable team to handle all your marketing efforts, allowing you to focus on growing your business. And it really sounds like a dream, but you've actually helped a lot of business owners and a lot of clients achieve this dream, right? And that's how I know it's entirely possible.
Yep.
So today, we want you to walk us through, what your process is and how you help your clients make that a reality. And maybe share a little bit of the stories and the background that you've had in working with these clients.
So again, thanks for having me. My name is Felicia. I founded Business Multiplier back in 2018. And one thing that I see very consistently in the market about business owners in Singapore is you guys are very smart. But because
Wow,
you are
thank
very
you.
smart and capable, it is also your own downfall because you then think that everything must be done by you, or at the very least must be approved by you. So what I see in the market is that as the business owners' companies grow and as they get more sales, they get busier and busier.
Guilty.
And it will come to a point of time when then they say, well, money is there, but I'm so burned out. And this is why I founded Business Multiplier, because our vision is to bring happiness in business that will translate to happiness in life. And what we stand for is that business owners should be able to build companies which can support your personal life, aspirations and dreams. And you should never, ever sacrifice your personal well-being for the company.
Amen.
Yeah,
Thank you. Preach it, sister.
Woohoo!
Preach it. Thank you.
But again, it is happening so much in the market. So before that, why do people come to us in Business Multiplier? Usually there are three reasons. Number one is to grow the top line and bottom line. Maybe they have sales but not much profit, or maybe the revenue has been stagnant for a number of years. The second thing is to be able to build a valuable, scalable and sellable company, which means one of the key metric is to make sure that the business is not dependent on
The founder.
the founder.
Yeah.
Correct. Wow, so smart, see?
I get it. I totally get it.
Now, the number three, to make the number two happen, you have to have a team. And they don't only need to be the right people, but they also have to have the right mindset. They also have to be very highly engaged. They have to treat your company like it's their own.
You've brought up so many cool points. You can share a little bit about the 4 Fs. Is that your process that you go through?
Yeah, so that's the process that business owners usually go through with us. And different owners come to us, different founders, where they are at different stages. So the first F is foundation. So at the foundation stage, it's like building a house. If your foundation is not strong, what happens to the house?
Falls down, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can imagine. So in the foundation stage, usually the business is still chaotic and a little bit unpredictable.
Yeah.
Some months sales is strong, some months it's down, some months everything goes well, some months have a lot of client complaints and so on. So you can imagine it's unpredictable. The second stage, once you have steadied the foundation, then we will go to the feeding stage. And in the feeding, we focus on accelerating growth. And then once you feed that growth and you manage to scale up, we have had case studies where our clients managed to 3x, 5x their revenue, not just profit, within 12 months. Even though I put a disclaimer, it has to be the right kind of founders.
Right.
Yeah, you give us the right kind of people, we can produce this outcome. But if you're the wrong fit, I'm sorry.
If the wrong fit, then it's a different kind of F word.
Hey, let's not go there. In any case, yeah. So once you feed this growth, and now it's really pretty quick. Now the third stage is where you flourish, because the growth is there. It is a matter of stabilizing that growth and making it extremely scalable. Where if you want to deliver deliver 5 times your volume, you can do so if you want to. So when you can flourish and everything is systematized, you got the right people on board, all the delegation are flowing beautifully, and the customers love you, that's when you go to the last one, which is the future. It is about deciding what your future is. Most of the time, the conversation starts with what the future you want, and then we work backwards towards the plan. So in the future, it may look like, oh, I'm going to get acquired by a bigger company for X million dollars. It can also look like, you know what, I love this company so much, I'm going to keep it in the family forever, pass down to my son, grandson, and so on. In some cases, it is to pass down to the next line of managers. In other cases, it's global world domination by maybe going to franchise license across the borders and go to as many countries as you can conquer.
Would you say the majority of the clients that you are serving right now, they're in stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 or 4?
Actually, they are distributed pretty much across in stage 1 and 2 primarily, and some stage 3 businesses, they are preparing to get to stage 4.
That's perfect. That's exactly our the audience that we're hoping to speak to, because a lot of our clients are within that same context.
Do you do mostly locally or regionally or Singapore?
We are currently in Singapore and Malaysia,
I see.
and we are exploring other countries.
Like you mentioned earlier, like a business owners wants to do everything, but what are the kind of marketing activities that you think take up most of the business owner's time?
So in the first place, it would depend on what is the business owner's competency. Because I have coached marketing agencies before, where because the business owner is so savvy and so technically proficient in the marketing arena, they feel they have to control everything.
I have no idea who you're talking
They
about.
feel that they have to approve every single copywriting, every single email title, just to make sure it is done up to perfection.
You're not talking about anyone in the room.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
But in the case where the business owner is not marketing trained, then obviously sometimes the option is either to hire an internal person or to outsource, and it can be in many, many different forms.
Yeah, do you think it's harder working with those business owners who are marketing trained versus non-marketing trained?
I think it is not so much whether they are marketing trained or not marketing trained. It is more of whether they are open to change.
Great.
And
Makes
to
sense.
try new things.
So in this case, how do you then manage the conversation with them in terms of like getting them to, let go and delegate? How does this conversation really start with them?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it started also because the business owner does everything themselves. They're the talent, they're putting on this
Correct.
thing, taking video, doing the content thing,
Yeah.
doing the TikToks and all that, right? So
Exactly.
how do you get them to,
let go.
Like I say, let go.
Yeah.
So for me, the first thing is to get them very clear about where do they want to go. So I always use the analogy of the ship. So the captain of the ship, do you know where your boat is going?
Yeah.
Do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do.
Cruise to nowhere?
Cruise to nowhere. There's a lot of that. But sometimes I feel like I'm on a cruise to nowhere. You're right. Just
Yeah,
gambling.
But that's the thing.
Yeah, it's
you
true.
you actually
Yeah.
hit the nail on the head because some of our founders, when we met them, are on the cruise to nowhere.
Yeah.
And when you're on the cruise to nowhere, then it's heading to the Titanic, hence the soundtrack.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you imagine what happens to the cruise when it's floating in the sea without a final destination, because the captain is not sure where is the final destination. What happens to the people on the boat? What happens to the crew?
They are playing violins as the ship is going down.
Exactly. So it always starts with, where is the ship heading? And why? Why is it important for you to be able to scale your company to your 5x, 10x, or whatever number it is? In some cases, they are not driven by the 5x, 10x, but they just want to have a company that is fun to run.
Yeah.
Where it is not weighing them down or stressing them out every other month. So the clarity of what they want to build is the starting part of the conversation. Once you have a very clear idea on where the final destination is, it is much easier then to craft the plan backwards, and then we analyze. So for that to happen, can you afford to do 20 hours a week on editing and copywriting and approving work?
Yeah.
And then I always ask them to, I draw an organization chart, fictional of course. And I always ask them, okay, so this is the CEO role, you're the captain. And then there's a sales role, there's a marketing role, there's an operation role, there's HR, finance. And I ask the founder, how many boxes are you in? Like Lionel, for you, how many boxes are you in?
Every single box.
So then my next question would be, if let's say you are in every single box, is it correct to assume that maybe you are putting 20% of yourself in each box? Is it possible that we can groom someone who puts in their 100% and that 100% can be better than your 20%?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So then would you be then willing to maybe see how we can delegate?
Yeah.
One box by one box. Obviously, we will always analyze based on everything that is in the owner's to-do list, which is the most low-hanging fruit to outsource. And for me, marketing is one of the best things to start working on delegating.
It does make sense. So which is great. Like now for myself, we have like the TikToks and the the writing and because they are very much in sync with the trends anyway.
Yep.
So I find that's the easiest first move in terms of marketing, at least, right?
I tend to start off at least with my own team, getting them to do internal documents. For example, like write a blog post or a case study on a client. Then they actually get to hear from like some of the success stories that we already have gotten, and then they start to believe in what we do.
Nice.
And that it also becomes a marketing asset that we can use externally. So a lot of times, I again start on those internal marketing kind of things that I would say they are important, not super high priority. The whole ship will not sink because they screwed up. And because we are dealing with highly technical work and working directly with clients, some clients may not be as forgiving as others. I think it's a little bit safer. Then have them explore a little bit, with what they have learned through the case study on what we did.
So I'll move on to the next question, which is like, in cases do you recommend your clients, right, at least in the marketing context, where maybe you start to hire part-time, full-time, or outsource? And how do you have that conversation between which kind of roles in marketing can you then allocate to each of these?
So there are two parts. One is we, again, get clarity on the goal.
Yeah.
I don't believe in hiring marketing people or outsourcing just for the sake of having a marketing campaign running.
Yes.
There should be an objective.
Right.
So, for example, recently we spoke to a company where they have a huge database. And in this database of a few thousand companies, they're in the B2B industry. Right. They are sending maybe like one email a month kind of thing, or at most, if it's an intense month, it's 2 emails, which obviously won't move the needle significantly. Yeah. So in this kind of scenario, so obviously, in terms of coming out with collateral, it might be easy. But then, what is the objective? The objective is to get sales. So when you already highlight, if the objective is to get sales, is it just a matter of sending an email once a month? Will that get conversion? No. Then we have to be a lot more strategic to that and build campaigns. So based on the campaigns that we want to run, then we will then decide, do you need a part-timer? If it's just one campaign, maybe a part-timer is enough. Even the part-timer, is it going to be local? Is it going to be overseas? Because running business in Singapore, manpower is one of the highest costs.
It's very expensive.
It's very expensive. Yeah. So if let's say you just need someone who can do it well and it's only 10, 20 hours a month, is it then justified to hire $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month staff here? Like you mentioned, intern is one of the ways, but then of course intern may have lack of experience. You may have to handhold quite a lot. Then it adds to the to-do list in the already very long owner's to-do list.
Yeah, basically you can delegate, but the responsibility you still have to cover.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is it truly delegating?
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah. So again, it goes back to that. In the case where, for example, my clients, e-commerce business, where they have to produce a lot of collaterals, like a lot, because they may be posting every day, they may be posting on many different channels, then obviously maybe you have to have someone in-house. But then in terms of having someone in-house, again, because the cost of running business is at that amount, if you hire someone that is very, very experienced, the price tag will be very high. Sure. But then maybe the very experienced one that is required for strategizing, you don't need someone to strategize 44 hours a week. Yeah.
Right? Also, you start with a part-time.
So it can be part-time strategizing, but then maybe the full-timers are executing. It can also be a combination of outsource and in-house. Because the thing about getting outsourced agency is the fact that then the expertise is at that level. that they can afford to find to set up their own agency, and people pay money for their services. So I'm expecting that you will have a higher standard of expertise in terms of being able to strategize and come up with the different campaigns recommendation. But then the execution might be a combination of outsource and your in-house talent, especially if you can build a team where overall the cost is not extremely high by having a combination, maybe some offshore, some local, some more senior, some more junior talents.
Sometimes I find myself in this trap where I do all these postings on social media, right? And sometimes we give it an intern. I used to do paid ads with agencies as well. So sometimes I find that they're doing it, but I need to handhold them. The tone of voice isn't me. I don't feel like that's me, and then I end up being involved again. And then it's like you can't let go. So I find myself in that trap. I mean, is this very common?
It is very common. Like even me in the early days, I experienced that quite a lot. I'm like, no, but I'm the wittiest and funniest and most entertaining.
But you are.
Oops, wait, I'm supposed to laugh away. Yeah, so then it has all this question of, but then how about the tonality? So what has worked for me? I still have my team because I don't have the time. And again, it is not the highest value use of my time to be editing every little thing or to be coming up with every single thing. But what we do is then we brainstorm. So the ideation, we brainstorm. My team does research. They propose, and I'll just say, this is good, this is maybe not. Then blah, 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 blah. Once we've come up with the ideation, and then they chart out. So, Fel, can you shoot for this team, this topic, this topic, this topic? My great amount of spare time that I try to set aside, then I'll shoot the videos. But then in the beginning, in the onboarding process, I make sure that they understand the tone, they understand our vision, mission, they understand the kind of messaging, and even the fact that we always proclaim to bring fun and fruitfulness and fulfillment to the business owner. And after a while, they sort of get the essence of what we are trying to be and the messaging. And nowadays, I don't even look at the individual thing. I record and I let them to read it.
You spend the time with them already, so they know what you're going for.
So while in the beginning, you need to invest that time to not just tell them what to do, but also to let them absorb your essence.
I think that's brilliant. You brought a really good point there about rather than training them on the task and just giving them things to do, what you're doing is infusing your culture, your belief system, your value system, and then allow that to be expressed in whatever they produce. That's brilliant. I mean, I love that. And then basically what you're trying to do is you're creating an engine that generates more valuable content as long as they flow back to the source, which is the values and all that.
Correct.
That's brilliant.
So we talked about part-time, outsource, full-time. So how do we find them? So I think the question is,
where do you find good talent?
Where do you find a good talent? And what do you look out for in each of these talents?
So in any kind of talents, whether it's marketing or any other function, I always advocate my clients to look for the VMC, aligned values, the right mindset, the coachability, the openness to learn and grow and everything, as well as the competency. So whether it is to choose your part-timer, full-timer, or even outsourced agency, I look for these three. When even outsourced agency, when you have aligned values, it's great. Where do you find them? Well, if you're talking about agency, actually there's a lot in the market. But obviously then who to choose is always the great question. And because a lot of the time when you talk to agencies, and nothing personal, guys, it is always a question of, in the beginning, everything looks rosy, but then what happens after we sign on? That's always the question in the client's mind. So I encourage business owners who, let's say, talking about selecting the right agency, is to, again, keep in mind this values, mindset, competency, and to really ask what the experience is going to be like once you are a client. Then in terms of where to find them, well, if you're talking about agency, it's a lot. There are different networking groups. There's those that are very strong in SEO that if you search, they will come out on top. But the initial part of finding is easy. It is the selection that I feel is most important.
How do you define, do you have a set criteria for that selection process? Like, Do you just like interview them all, or
So for me, I look for a track record. That is very, very important, if not the most important.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, because the track record, especially if they have track record in similar industry or similar niche, that's even more reassuring. But if not, at least if let's say they have a very good general track record, that whatever they touch becomes gold. Wow.
Yeah.
If there's such a thing, please introduce me to.
yes.
I think sometimes choosing agencies also, I think, or choosing partners or staff, I think it's those that stick with you when you are at your worst, as opposed to those that, everything's rosy and everything's good, and then when you're not doing too well, they kind of float away. That's not really good partners.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, right.
Definitely. So one is the track record, like I mentioned. The other thing is, I think I would interview them in terms of the working experience.
Yeah.
So what can I expect? So once someone signs on, what happens? Like every month, for example, let's say we're talking about marketing agency, are you going to give me a recommendation of where to increase my budget, which channel to spend more money on, less money on? Are you going to critique my creatives? Are you going to critique my collaterals? Or are you just going to expect me to produce the collaterals and then run with it? Like in the past, I have fallen to the trap of tapping on certain government grants to engage certain agencies.
Yes.
You know this.
Yeah, and then when we were supposed to run the ads, I'm like, aren't you guys gonna come up with what we are supposed to advertise? Oh no, it's not part of the scope.
Oh no.
Oh my god, that's my favorite. That's my favorite statement. It's not part
And then
there'll be additional charges.
And they're like, what's in the scope is we can come up with the visual and the caption for you. And then they come up with one, and I'm like,
Then you end up with that founder's trap of doing it yourself again, right?
but then I'm going to spend ad money. So it's even
Yeah.
more crucial. So in the end, I whipped up one of the video that we already shot that my team edited beautifully. And that generated like 100 times more response, the click-through, compared to the one that they came up with.
I see.
Yeah, so again, the track record, very important. And then what happens once you sign on? Do they really know analytics? Do they really recommend to you? Do they come up? So I think you have to be discerning with when they quote you the price or they give you the quotation, what is included in that?
Yeah, that's right. So understanding what the deliverables are going to be, but then also how they're going to use the deliverables, seeing they have a clear framework for understanding what results happen, because good or bad, you got to find out how you're going to pivot from there.
Yeah.
And what's the next step after that? Once we know what the results are, how do you either improve, correct? So I think that's a really good process that you shared. Even being able to qualify the agencies to work with, or even if it's an individual, the process is the same.
Yep. And which is why I guess like our clients engage us also so that they have a sounding board and that they can discuss, what do you think? This is the proposal. This is what the guy said that he can do. What do you think? Now you are correct in that the selection process, even for the staff, is also there.
Yeah.
In terms of where to find them, I think different companies have different rate of success with different portals, and it's seasonal. So this is something that I find, like there were times where the online job portals were giving great candidates, like the usual Indeed, LinkedIn, for marketing people especially. But there are times where it is so dry, so dry. Like in December, it is always a dry season for recruitment, where maybe it will be useful for you to engage recruitment companies. And I have recommended recruitment companies in the past to clients as well, when their own efforts of recruiting good staff is not generating good enough candidates.
Yeah.
We can coach them on how to select, but if there's no one applying, then it's very difficult to select from anything. And then in the process of selecting, we again try to assess for the whole VMC thing, the culture fit, the mindset fit, as well as the competency. And I recommend in the initial stage of interview for marketing people to do it in a group setting.
Before I met you, I haven't heard about group interview. I just met you, then I learned about this context. Maybe you can share a little bit more about that and how you conduct this group interview. Do they all come in? Then if they are good, then you press a button, then your chair spins around.
Game show.
What's the thing? Or if it's a really good one, you press the golden buzzer, then everyone's very happy.
Sounds like good reality TV.
It's very good reality TV. Like, hire your staff.
Well, okay, so I heard about this concept, but then I tweaked it and I designed it, and I sort of now came up with the format where I think it's working for quite a lot of the roles, especially marketing related, where we put multiple applicants or candidates in one interview. in the same session. Usually we do it via Zoom,
like,
because it's multiple people.
Yeah.
It's easier. And then we come up with the format of how we can assess them. And typically we will ask them to introduce themselves, blah, blah, blah. And then we introduce ourselves, because this part, there are a few objectives. Number one is to eliminate those that you definitely do not want.
Don't waste time. Yeah.
Because otherwise you'll end up interviewing, let's say it's 4 or 5 people. You'll spend 4 or 5 times half an hour, 1 hour.
That's
That's
right.
a lot of time.
It's true.
And the founder is very busy, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if I understand correctly, you're doing it in stages. The very first time, even before that you meet them, you're giving them some level of background.
Screening questions.
Screening questions.
Yes. Yes. And then once they are in that first round, we have a few questions. We see how they answer. And always, we will recommend clients to prepare competency assessment. Whether to be done on the spot or to be done as a homework. Again, we usually help advise them on how to do it. So then the competency assessment is very, very key, because especially in marketing role, you need them to be able to design, to edit video, to write. If you just base it on the fact that they said, oh yeah, I've worked 5 years in this role, it's still a question mark, because what if you worked 5 years and all you did was assisting someone else in every campaign?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we have the competency assessment, when they submit the task, we can really assess the true level of their capabilities.
Yeah.
And from there, then you shortlist, you bring them to the second round, and then you can take it from there.
Yeah. I mean, in the ministry, like, photography and video, right? Portfolios can be a bit deceiving sometimes.
Yeah.
So you're right. Like, it's good to give them a test on the spot or a new project. Then you can really sort of get a feel of what their skill level is about.
Yeah, I know you've recently hired some interns as well.
Yeah.
And you also recently hired some, onboarded a couple staff. You did
Yeah.
some interviews. Maybe you can share a little bit about your criteria for finding someone that's really good at content creation.
You know what's the strangest thing? The strangest thing is I believe very much in what you mentioned earlier in terms of culture, mindset, and competency.
So you hire for those?
Yeah, because especially when we go for interns, right? In fact, competency is really like near the bottom of the criteria. Like for me, mindset and culture comes number one. So number one, we're a team. So if you are just that, if you don't fit the culture of ours, like if I know you're going to stand out like a sore thumb, then it's going to be difficult, because it causes problems, because like you're just so different from everybody else. It makes things very difficult to culture match, for example. And mindset, the one's so important, is like you have to have the attitude to want to learn, adjust, be open to a new environment, to adjust yourself. Because I've experienced so many that don't, and it gets it's a very tiring process. So, and usually you can sort of get a feel in the first interview already if they fit. So competence, at least for me, competency is, yes, they do have some skill set, of course, but it's something they can learn anyway, right?
Yeah.
You can watch YouTube videos, you can get better at anything. Anybody can do that. But mindset is something that it's very inbuilt in the person, the character of a person, and that's what I really look out for.
One of my criteria that I place in with my staff whenever I'm looking at it, I'm always looking for instinct. Do you instinctively know what to do in a particular situation when you're faced with a marketing problem statement? Okay, we are always like very finding ways to solve stuff. If I give you this situation, do you have that instinct, like you know what to do, even without me telling you? The world has called this common sense. I realize it's very misnamed, because common sense is not common.
It is not.
Not common at all. So, instinct is right, but it's something that's untrainable. Do you have that ability to adapt, to modify, to pivot?
How do you test that in an interview? How do you sort of see that?
Through the tests that we do. So some of the competency tests, they're not actually competency tests. It's just like to see where you're at, and like see your level of thinking. Because the way I construct it is that if you're a very low level thinker, like you're looking at purely the empirical and looking at single numbers and figures, guys, marketing is all about numbers. It's not about nice, snazzy tagline. It's not about that. But it's more about, looking at when you put something out there, what's the performance? When you look at someone that has answered a question and it's only about like looking at one kind of dimension of the data, then they're thinking very low level. But you see someone that has a broad view of all the data across different measurements, and they're giving you the right answer based on that, then it makes sense. Give you an example. If a campaign is performing well, it's like, we increased sales by 80%. Sounds good, right? But what's the actual number of sales, and how's the actual revenue that's being delivered by the campaign? And the third dimension is, how long do you run the campaign for? if it's a 4-day campaign and you manage to get $120,000, that's fantastic, right? But then if you $120,000, you ran a campaign for 6 months, it's not so great. Right, so I mean, great for some business owners, but not so great comparatively.
Metrics,
right? So it's about looking at different dimensions of time, of how much budget you spend, and how much profit you made. I think that's one of the qualifying criteria I found that it was helpful.
Yeah.
So it's about the test and testing multiple levels of competencies, like what Felicia said about the test questions that you have right after the first interview.
So what I can summarize from this is that obviously it's communication. We have to, be able to communicate with the staff. We've sort of addressed the situation of how to get them in, where to find them. And so let's say now they're in. Okay, we've got them in our team, be it outsourced or part-time. So now we all know communication is very important. So what are the kind of tools or tasks that you do that help streamline this process of communication, managing now that you have all these good people in the team? So are there tools that you use, or how do you streamline these processes that internally?
So we do have tools. And there are a lot out there. We don't really advocate one tool over the other. Some of our clients and us, some of us use Trello, ClickUp, Asana, Monday.com. I can just go on and on because there's so many out there.
So mostly project management tools.
That's one thing. There is a lot, but I think that's the brain side of things, the technology.
That's right.
I think a lot of the things that are neglected are the hard side of things. When you want to get the team to be high performing, while the brain side of things, the system, the tools are important, but you also want to make sure that the hard side, the connection between the team members are also that strong.
Right.
And because imagine what happens to the brain when the heart stops working.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have seen companies where they are so focused on getting all the SOPs, the systems, the tools, they pay subscription for these platforms. And then guess what? Only half of the people are using.
Oh, very common. I've seen this happen so many times.
Yes, only half the people are using. And turns out that it is because they feel they are unappreciated. They are not recognized. They are sometimes even not clear about where the company is heading. And the founder is too busy doing the 10,001 thing that they didn't really have as much time to build that relationship and connection with the team and to align them with where the boat is going and how important each team member is.
What are some of the
Culture?
rituals?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
That's why she's the coach,
Okay.
right? Okay.
So back up. Okay, so what are some of the good rituals that you have in order to communicate culture, at least within the team?
So short of like really launching it on actual team culture program, which not all companies can afford the time and resources to, I think it's the little rituals like you mentioned. For us, we plan our timetable such that Monday is our internal team day. So this is when we reconnect. This is when we trash out what's going to happen. This is when we realign what are the top priority items. And the other thing is the small things that the leaders should do. I mean, I highly recommend, which is to affirm them when they are doing the right thing. Then they will do more right thing. Because the thing is, we are from the Asian culture where it is so easy to pick out the wrong thing, or like this is not good enough, this is not this enough.
Oh yes, because you're always focusing on the complaining about negative behavior. But what ends up happening is you reinforce the negative behavior by complaining. You're focusing on that, and then they tend to shift towards I don't want to do this, rather than towards the ones that you want to do. So what's your tactic around getting around that?
I also believe in a constant feedback conversation, but I position it as a feed-forward conversation.
I love that.
So in a sense where I'm not picking on you about what you did in the past that I didn't like.
Right.
I'm giving you all this input so you can be a better version of yourself in the future. Because I would love to be able to work with you in the long run. So if I don't care about you, I will just say nothing, and then I say bye-bye. I'm finding a new person next month. But if I truly care about you and I really want to make this work, because you guys know how difficult it is to find the right person. So then I will be in that constant feedback process where it is always an open culture, communicate all the time, psychological safety, there's no right and wrong, and encourage their learning. A lot of the time, I get remarks from my team where like, oh, after I work for you, it's very difficult to work for anyone else. I get remarks like that. But it is also because I give them the space to make their mistakes, but I give them constructive feed-forward suggestions. And I understand if they are human. Like I know that some bosses, especially in the more mature SME, it's like all about time. You clock in, clock out. For me, if you do the output well and I can see you rowing the boat, I don't really
Yeah.
care what time you work.
I agree.
Really.
Totally agree on that. Yeah.
Okay, how do you manage the conversation when they completely screw up?
I will have a coaching conversation because that's what I do.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's very easy. And my principle is correct in private,
Yeah.
affirm in public.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've had ex-bosses, I've had clients in the past who like to scold people in front of everyone else. And that doesn't just bring down the founders or leaders' credibility, that destroys the whole team culture and morale.
That's right.
Yeah, so I pull them aside and I will ask them first about, so what do you think you did well, even if they completely screw up? And then they will be taken aback. I thought I screwed up. And then I'll ask, so what do you think could have been done better?
Yeah.
And how can I be assured that in the future, this will not happen again? And usually they come up with all the answers and they never do it again. I mean, it has happened to me many times. Are there cases where it didn't happen? Yeah, maybe because then it's the wrong value. I have hired people with the wrong value or culture in the past. It's a mistake. It's a lesson learned and never again. But then, yeah, like sometimes these kind of things also need to happen in your process of finding the right one.
Yeah.
Right. How quickly do you let them go? I mean, how many chances do you give before saying bye?
I think it depends on what it is. If they have the best intentions and they really did their best, but it was just a matter of maybe them not being fast enough or quick enough, I'm actually quite lenient on that. I give them quite a bit of chances. But if it is an integrity thing, where if I find out that you are dishonest, it's an immediate termination for me. I'm sorry. Because there's really no point to retain something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there will be some boundaries that you'll have to set, and if they cross it, then there's no reason for you to exercise. Actually, you know what? You mentioned something about sometimes letting them go is the best thing that you can do for them because there's just not a cultural fit for you.
That's right.
And I like that you brought that up. You know, this was it wasn't during this this meeting or this call, but it was something that you mentioned to me before, and I really remembered that. So
Yeah, because it's gonna be painful. I know that as Asians, I have some clients who are like, like this marketing guy is not really working, but I'm not very good with exit and terminating relationship. Like, what if he feels down? What if he's this and that? Then I'm like, maybe by keeping him, you are holding him back from his greatness in the next place.
Good way of thinking.
that's a great way of framing it. Awesome.
Okay. So I think maybe the last question I have is, we talk about ones that, how do you measure their performances of the staff that you hire? How do you, the KPIs that you give them? Or
What are some of the things that you
evaluate?
you
Evaluate. Yeah.
So again, it started with, remember when we speak to the founder, we why do we want this marketing function? It is an objective,
Right.
To generate X amount of sales, to gather how many more thousands of people in database, to improve conversion rate by this much, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So then normally the marketing staff's marketing team member or even outsourced agencies success metric will depend on what we want. So if it's a conversion or if it's sales, then we will peg that as one of the KPI. If it is just the consistency of the brand messaging, I mean, that is also a concern for some company that they feel that they needed the consistency.
Yeah.
So then it is the fact that they're always on time, everything is scheduled in advance, lead time. Then this might be a success metric. Sometimes it can also be about the growth of the channel. So yes, I have seen companies where what they said is, hey, I want to grow my TikTok from 10,000 to 30,000 in 1 year, things like that. So then they don't really care how the team does it. They brainstorm, they come up with ideas, they test different approach. And every time the needles move, this thing works. So let's do something more like that.
Just so like you said, it's all about numbers.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's all about numbers.
it's numbers.
About the leading and the lagging metrics. Like what things do you want to do and measure? Like, have you explored one additional channel is a leading metric?
Yep.
How well you're doing in that channel is a lagging metric.
Yep.
Right, because you can't use an existing metric to tell you where you're going to go next. Yeah, so
That's true.
about evaluating based on these two is amazing. How often do you do it? Like, do you set a target over a quarter, half a year, 1 year? What's the
Typically, when we do goal setting, we like to understand the client's long-term goal, but then we'll narrow down to, okay, in the next 1 year, what needs to happen? And then we'll break it down further to quarterly goals. Then from the quarterly goals, we do check-in every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, depending on what is the task of the person. Because we like 90 days, 3 months, because it's like a long enough time to achieve something quite significant, but it is a short enough time that there's a bit of urgency. Like within this first 90 days, we better drive something.
Yeah.
Because if you track it every year, it's like, oh, we have spent 12,000 a month for the whole year. And what's the ROI? We never asked. True story.
Oh my.
I don't know. I always get asked about the ROI before they sign on as a client. Like, what's your ROI? What do you expect? So thank you, Felicia, so much. I mean, like you shared so many amazing insights. I'm very mind blown.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, I didn't know I could learn so much about marketing from a business coach. It's like a beautiful context, and it was such a pleasure having you. That's it for today's episode of the Marketer's Cookbook. If you found this episode helpful, we'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences with your own successes and challenges. And subscribe for more practical marketing insights. Thank you for joining us, Felicia.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Felicia.
Thank you, Felicia. Until next time, keep serving up your global brand with local ingredients.